For 20 years, no one really noticed the janitor who quietly cleaned the marble floors of Ellington Enterprises. Asterisk. His name was Thomas Gray. Asterisk. No one knew where he came from. No one asked why he always worked overtime, never complained, and smiled, even when no one else did. To them, he was just the old man with the mop, blending into the background like a forgotten shadow in a glass tower built on power, pressure, and profit. But all of that changed on a single stormy night, and the life of the company's CEO would never be the same again. Thomas Gray had never wanted to be noticed. His job was simple: clean the offices, empty the bins, mop the floors, and go home to a small apartment where a photo of his late wife smiled at him from a dusty mantel. He had once been something else, someone else, but life had stripped away everything he had. He never talked about his past, not even when the younger employees made jokes behind his back. Asterisk. Old man's been here longer than the furniture. Asterisk. Bet? He sleeps in the janitor's closet. They laughed. He just smiled. Asterisk. What they didn't know was that Thomas had once worn a different kind of uniform. Years ago, before his hands were calloused from cleaning chemicals, they had held the weight of responsibility far greater than a mop. Asterisk. But those days were buried with his wife. After she passed, the world had lost its color. All he wanted was quiet, routine, a way to survive grief without letting it kill him. Asterisk. And so he cleaned, day after day, night after night, until that night, and asterisk, the storm rolled in fast over the city. Rain pounded the tall glass windows of Ellington Tower as the late-night lights flickered inside. Most employees had gone home, but the CEO, Jacob Ellington, was still upstairs on the 47th floor, pacing his office. Asterisk. He was a man in his early 40s, brilliant and driven, with a reputation for being cold and focused. His father had built the company. Jacob had expanded it into a global powerhouse. He didn't believe in luck or kindness, only hard work and numbers. Emotions to him were liabilities, but on this night Jacob's chest was tight. He hadn't slept in days. The pressure of an upcoming merger, investors breathing down his neck, and annoying emptiness he couldn't explain had worn him thin. Asterisk. He poured himself a drink, then another. He didn't notice the pain building in his left arm. Downstairs, Thomas had just finished polishing the lobby floor. The storm had delayed his bus, so he decided to wait out the weather by tidying up the executive floor. He'd done it before quietly, without permission. No one noticed anyway. Asterisk. As the elevator climbed, thunder cracked across the sky. Asterisk. When the doors opened on the 47th floor, Thomas immediately felt it. Something was wrong. A low groan echoed from the CEO's office. He rushed in without knocking. Asterisk. There, slumped behind the massive glass desk, was Jacob Ellington, his face pale, eyes wide with terror. One hand clutched to his chest. Asterisk. Thomas didn't hesitate. He dropped his mop, ran to the desk, checked his pulse. Jacob was having a massive heart attack. In that moment, everything came back to Thomas: his old training, the instincts buried beneath years of silence. Before he was a janitor, he had served as a military medic. He'd saved lives in war zones. Now, the battlefield was a corporate tower, and the life in front of him was worth saving. Asterisk. He performed CPR. Asterisk. Used his old techniques to stabilize Jacob until paramedics arrived, minutes that felt like hours. All while the storm howled outside, lightning flashing behind them like a signal from heaven. Asterisk. Jacob survived, and everything changed. Asterisk. When he woke up in the hospital, the first thing he asked wasn't about the company. It wasn't about the merger. It was about the man who saved him. Asterisk. Where is he? The janitor? Asterisk. They told him Thomas had ridden in the ambulance but left quietly after making sure he'd survive. No press, no praise, no expectations. Asterisk. Jacob didn't understand why. Men like him weren't used to that kind of humility. Asterisk. He had his assistant track Thomas down. Asterisk. When he visited Thomas a week later, he was expecting to find him in some modest flat. What he didn't expect was to find photos of Thomas in uniform, medals tucked away in boxes, and letters from his late wife full of love and poetry. Asterisk. I owed the world a quiet life, Thomas said softly. I just wanted to serve in peace. I didn't expect to be remembered. Jacob sat in stunned silence. This man, this humble, overlooked janitor had lived more, sacrificed more, and loved deeper than anyone he'd ever met. Jacob didn't offer him money, he offered him something. A place. A purpose. 6 months later, Thomas was no longer cleaning floors. He was the head of the new Human Dignity program at Ellington Enterprises, a program focused on veteran employment, mental health support, and honoring overlooked workers. In the company, he walked the halls not with a mop, but with meaning. And Jacob? He changed too. He smiled more. He listened. He started leaving work early, learning the names of the employees who once felt invisible, because of one man, a man, who was just a janitor. Until he saved the CEO's life not just with CPR, but with a quiet reminder that the worth of a human soul has nothing to do with rank or salary. So if you ever feel small, if you ever think the world has forgotten you remember Thomas Gray. He didn't save a life just because he was trained to. He saved a life because kindness was built into his bones and because no job, no title, and no silence can ever erase the greatness of a heart that still chooses to care. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to our channel every day. Grace for more true stories that remind you grace lives in everyday moments. Thank you for watching.